Hey guys, what's happening? As we go live here, I apologize. I was planning to go live earlier, and we just had a good earthquake here, good little rumble, and I just got everything set up, and my computer screens were going, and I was trying to make sure they didn't fall off my desk onto the ground. That would have been bad. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Joe Von Grichton, and you're here today. If you've read the title, you read the description, and we're going to talk about why email marketing is so important in list building, obviously, to support that. And I'm going to give you guys a bunch of nuggets on how you can create, a six-figure business with an email list. And obviously, that's one of the reasons why it's so important. But before we do that, like I said, I'm Joe Von Grichton. I'm here in Southern California, in Temecula, California, out in wine country. If you've never been here, highly recommend it. Excuse me, I'm watching both screens and I saw something flicker over there. So I just want to make sure everything's all right. But we're here in wine country. We're about 70 miles north of San Diego and about 90 miles east of LAX. So, excuse me, we're considered desert, but we're not, I mean, it does get warm here, but it gets really cold here too. So, but basically, if you drew a triangle from LAX to us down to San Diego and then back up, Orange County is on the coast, just over the Cleveland National Forest mountain range here. But I highly recommend you come and check it out. Southern California, obviously, everybody comes to Southern California, but if you come here, you like wine, Napa and Sonoma are fantastic. The Central Valley is fantastic as well. But I'm telling you, our wines here, we have over 70 wineries, I believe now, and they are very, very good. So great place to raise a family, though. Very family friendly, low crime. Murrieta and Temecula, those are the two major cities that compose our valley, but there's a few other smaller cities that are part of that as well. But those two are always, some of the safest cities in the U.S. with a population over 100,000. So definitely you want to come check it out. Great little bubble. We have a annual Balloon and Wine Festival every May. Live concert, live music. If you like country music, there's usually those. They'll get some classic rock or some throwback as well. Bands from the 80s and 90s that come out as well. Excuse me, my nose is trying to go crazy here. I'm in my home office and my wife is cleaning the oven today, and that smell that puts off, it's like, it's kind of good, but it's kind of not good. And it just has been messing with my sinuses. So I apologize for that. Excuse me. So if I'm tickling my nose, I'm not a genie. I'm not a witch, I promise. I'm just trying not to have a sneeze attack on you guys. So anyways, if you're hopping on, whether you're watching this in replay or you're watching it live, I'd love to know where you're from. Tell me a little bit about where you're from so I can learn something new about you, or something new about where you live. I love to add things to my bucket list and just learn something new. So with that, excuse me, guys. I apologize here. I might have to take a second here, but all right. So let's get into it. I apologize, guys. So very first thing, why email marketing and list building are so important. Okay. Let's talk about this. Number one, when you build it, you own it, right? You're not dependent upon social media. That's why email is so valuable. A lot of people forget how important email marketing is, and list building for that matter. And they take it for granted. But it's absolutely huge, right? And you own it. Once people opt in, you have them in there until they unsubscribe or move on, whatever the case may be, okay? But the other thing is there's higher engagement, right? It's higher engagement than, what you'll see on social media. And the click-throughs are absolutely wild. How much, like, the open rate is so much better than, putting something on social media and hoping people, as they scroll, they stop. Okay. And the reason being is because it's direct communication. Um, you're actually in their inbox, and people are very likely to open things that come directly into their inbox because they know they probably signed up for it, so they're expecting it. But the cool thing is you don't have to try and figure out algorithms or anything like that. There's not a lot of tech involved in it. The biggest thing is figuring out when your audience or your subscribers are in their emails. And so typically one of the recommendations I would say is you want to send out in the morning before people leave for work. You want to send out around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, somewhere before lunchtime starts, or right after lunch, or like right when people are going back to lunch, and then in the evening. So like 6 p.m. or after. Okay. Those are really, really good times typically for general email list subscribers. That will capture some, if not all of them, during those times. And you can play around with that, right? You should always see, test, if you send out an email, send it out one time, at 6:30 in the morning, and then send one out at 11 o'clock in the morning, then send one out at like 12:45, right before people go back to work, and then try 6 o'clock. You can try those things and see if your open rate increases, decreases, and see which one works best. The biggest thing though is email. It allows you to build trust over time because you've got a captive audience, and instead of you having to be there and shake hands, kiss babies, do all that good stuff, your email is doing that for you. It's building your trust value, if you will, especially if you're sending out good content. If you're just sending out sale, then you're going to struggle with email marketing, right? Same thing with email marketing, as I've talked about with social media marketing. You've got to become a storyteller, right? People like to be enrolled, not sold. They don't like to be closed. They don't like to be sold, right? They like to enroll themselves, right? So you lead them there, so you can do the same thing with email marketing, okay? Which allows you the email marketing. It also allows you to drive sales consistently. So what do I mean by that? Well, once you've got a good solid list, even if it's only 100 people, and that's why I would, recommend your first goal should be to shoot to have 100 people in your email list. The cool thing about it is, excuse me here, right, is that you can figure out approximately what each email name or email address is worth for you. Once you've got that figured out, then you can figure out how you want to do your email campaign. So you can have your initial campaign that they opted in for that maybe is nurturing them over a 30, 60, 90-day period. But you could also set it up where you have a new product that you share with them on a weekly basis, a new product or service that is complementary to what they already opted into. And people do this all the time. So for example, if you knew that you had an email list of 5,000 people, and you knew that each email list was basically equivalent to every time you sent out an email to that list, and every email was worth $1, how much would that be? $5,000, right? And if your goal is to make $10,000 a month, how many times would you have to send out an email? Twice, right? Now, I'm simplifying it. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's the gist of it. Is once you figure out what what type of conversion rates you have as far as going from email list subscriber to customer, and you figure out, you can just do the numbers and divide, and then you can figure out approximately what each email address is worth to you. Okay. But that's how you can drive it consistently. The other thing is that with an email list, you can automate and scale. I've talked about this in previous lives. If you haven't seen them before, go and look at it, where I mark out. So you create a funnel, right? It's an opt-in funnel where you're offering something of value to them in exchange for their email. They put their email address in. It takes them through a sales funnel, but it also triggers an email marketing campaign too that nurtures them as well, right? and it kind of walks them through the sale process so you don't have to do that yourself, right? This is huge, guys. If you're going to have an online business, it's not just important to have an email marketing campaign where it's all set up and automated and scalable. You have to replace yourself, right? Because you can't wear all the hats. Okay. And in order to scale, all right, and keep growing, especially if you're a 1 or 2 man operation, then you need to automate your email list building. So you do it with things like giving away a lead magnet. We call them lead magnets. And I'll talk about that here in a second. I'll go in a little bit more depth, but you'll give away something of value. They give you their email. And then from there, they're now part of your email list. They're in your automated process, automated emails that are going to go out every day. But they're also a part of new products and service offerings that you find value that will complement what they already opted in for. Okay. And the best thing about email list and list building is that you can segment your list. So say, just for example, people opted in your list, they're now subscribers, but some buy, some don't. So you can segment the list of buyers versus non-buyers, right? So maybe the next email campaign that you set up, you target people that haven't bought yet, or you target people that have already bought and maybe need something. What's the next step type of thing? Okay. All right. So it's really cool how you can personalize and segment your list. All right. To make sure that you're providing the proper customer service and value exchange that you should be for that specific subscriber. So email list or email marketing and list building, absolutely vital to building a 6-figure online business. Okay. And like I said, your goal out of the gate should be, you want 100 emails. From there, you want 500. From there, you want 1,000. From 1,000, you want 2,500. From 2,500, you want, 5,000, that type of thing. Think of it in those, and give yourself, set a goal for when you want to accomplish that by, right? And then track it and see how long, because once you've got that email list big and strong, maybe right now, the way they've opted in, they're not necessarily buying the product or service that you're offering in that initial opt-in. That's fine. That just means, but they're still subscribed to your email list. And like I said, that's okay. That just means that the product or service you're offering, they just don't need right now. Like, it was interesting to them. They found value in it enough to give you their email, but maybe it's not something that they need. But maybe if you do a survey and ask them, how can you help them? What were they looking for when they opted in? You can get some honest feedback, and you can create products or services that support the solutions that they're looking for. Okay. So really, really important. And so once you've started to build that email list, like I said, you survey them and you'll find out what they want. And then this is how you can create a really strong email list. Okay. Is you can create what's called a lead magnet, or an irresistible freebie, if you will. So like a cheat sheet, a mini course, a checklist, a spreadsheet, a free video training, maybe a discount, or a template. Okay. So it can be a lot of different things. Okay. You can throw things out there like spaghetti and see if it sticks against the wall, or you can survey your email subscribers and say, hey, what would you like to see more of? What were you looking for when you opted in here? We want to make sure that we're not missing any of your, needs, wants, because nobody should have to suffer, right? We don't want anybody suffering. We want them getting the solutions they need. Okay. So when you ask them, that may give you the idea of what type of lead magnet you should create. Okay. So lead magnets can be free. I said they could be an irresistible freebie, or I like to do somewhere from $7 to $19, because I like to, as quickly as I can, I want to turn subscribers into buyers. Okay. because the buying psychology is if somebody is a buyer or they previously bought from you, then it's typically going to be easier to convert them into another sale on another product or service you have, as opposed to the looky-loos and the tire kickers that will, yes, take the value you're willing to give them. And, it's kind of it's almost a win-lose scenario for you. They win because they get value. You don't really, you get their email, but you haven't really, if they're just tire kickers and looky-loos, those aren't as powerful as people that'll actually opt in and buy, a lead magnet for, like I said, $7. $7 seems to be the really good number. You could even do it for $1. Just the change in the psychology from free to $1, it gets rid of all the people you don't want in your email list, and it builds a nice, strong email list right out of the gate with people that are, there intentionally. They want to buy. They want to be a customer of yours. Okay. So how you create your lead magnet. Best way to create them, you can use ChatGPT, go into Canva, create something there. There's templates in Canva that will walk you through. So like if you're looking to do a checklist or a small ebook or something like that, you can create it in all the content in ChatGPT, and then you can go and paste it and make it look all pretty in Canva, right? There's some other tools out there where you can actually do it directly in their platform, like Designer and some other things as well. But really, if you're looking for a solid solution that's free, ChatGPT is the best way to go. You can ask it all the questions that you need to create your content, and then just take it on over, put it into a nice template in Canva. It's free there to use Canva. But I do recommend you go to their pro account once you start making revenue, because, Canva will be your best friend. There's so many things to do there. I'm not going to go into training on it because there's tons of training already out there on YouTube that's really, really good. So why, fix what's not broken? Just go and type in Canva training and, how to create a lead magnet. It'll walk you through all that stuff. Okay. Now, once you have your lead magnet, then you need to have a landing page. You need to have a funnel. Okay. So a capture funnel. You want to keep this very simple, very straightforward. Your coloring, you want to use, strong coloring, but not over the top coloring. So blues, greens, yellows, black. Red is okay, but I'm not a big fan of red. You want to orange, like almost like a burnt orange is really good for buttons. And then ChatGPT, you have it create your title. You're all good to go. You can set it up with System.io, which is what I use. You can use Beacons or StanStore, especially if you're going to do this on social media. You're going to promote it on social media. Those Beacon is free. StanStore, it's a small monthly fee. System.io is free. So you can create it on one of those. ClickFunnels is another one that I've used in the past, but I've moved away from it because System.io does a lot of the same stuff that ClickFunnels, the core stuff that most business owners, online business owners need. And so I've just gone to System.io, but ClickFunnels is really good as well. And you can create the landing pages there. So now once you have that freebie created, you put it in Canva, made it all pretty, you've created a landing page, you've set up your funnel. Now you need to set up your email marketing as well, right? So that when people opt in, you can have an email series that supports what they opted in for, right? And ultimately getting them to whatever the next step is in the buying process, in the sales process. Okay. But you'll promote it on all your social media profiles. So it's real simple, right? And again, storytelling versus selling. Keep that in mind. Use the feel, felt, found method. I've talked about it lots of times before, and you'll be great. You'll be, living the dream very, very soon. Within 6 months to a year, you'll have a significant email list with a list of rabid, ravenous, loyal fans, if you will, right? And customers. Okay. So that's really, really important. So you can even pin it as well on your social media profiles. Pin it as like a top post. That way it's always there. And the big thing to always keep in mind is when you're doing this, when you're thinking about building this strong list, is always offer value. So in that lead magnet, you're offering value, right? There's a value exchange that's going on there. You're educating. So your lead magnet should educate, inspire, and add value. One of the three, if not all three. Okay. I do my best to get in at least education and inspiration, if not inspiration and value. Okay. If not all three. So very, very important. Now, most people use websites. I would highly recommend that if you have a website, that you treat it like a funnel, an opt-in funnel, so that your homepage of your website has a singular call to action to get people to become email subscribers. So whatever product or service you're selling, the quickest and easiest way to get people to opt into an email list, if you're selling a product or service, is to give them a coupon, a discount on something that they're already there to buy. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So you can use, call out boxes or pop-ups on your website. Again, these are things you can do in System.io. Okay. Let's see. Adding opt-ins to your content, definitely very, very important. So everything that you put out there. So if you do a press release, your call to action should be opt-in to the email list to get whatever your lead magnet is. If you're doing a podcast, if you're doing a blog post, whatever the case may be, the singular call to action at the end should be to get them in your email list, because then you can notify them anytime you have new blog posts, new content, new product, new service, all that good stuff, right? But you're always thinking value first. What's the value that I'm bringing? Okay. Now, I'm not a fan of running ads for small business owners. Reason being is I've been doing this for 20 years. And what happens is a lot of times small business owners that create an online business, they start running ads and they don't have a big budget to run ads. So they never really get the true value out of running ads. And they end up losing more money than they make before they actually learn who their audience is, where they're hanging out, all that good stuff. So I just recommend, it takes a little bit longer, but I believe in the algorithms for all the social media platforms. If you create enough good content that is consistent and disciplined, meaning if you have an online business and say you're offering a digital product or a digital marketing course or something like that, then you don't want to get on there and start talking about, something completely different, because the algorithms they base how they put your information out there on your consistency of the content you're putting out. So if you've created 20 pieces of content, about digital marketing, they're going to do their best to get you in front of the people that are looking for that are searching for that. But if you have 20 pieces of content and all 20 pieces of content are completely different, although it may add value into what you're attempting to sell, the algorithms don't know exactly how to do this. So the cool thing about this is, if you don't know, excuse me here while I bend down and get my handy dandy board, but if you don't know how to do this social media marketing, the cool thing is I have a blueprint for you that shows you how to do all this. In fact, it'll create all of your sales funnels, all your emails, everything is all created. All you have to do is put in your customized link, basically your domain, your email address, customized link, your payment processor, and voila, you have products to sell and you've got an online business ready, rock and roll. So if you're not technical and you're hearing me talk through some of the stuff and you're like, gosh, Joe, how do I do this? Well, if you simply go to home-based blueprint.com, all right, home-based-blueprint.com, you can get your Freedom Formula blueprint there. Really cool. It will help you. It will not only walk you through all this stuff, but it actually will create. You can actually learn at the same time that you earn all of these skills, how to do all of these things. All the training is there. It walks you through. It's very non-technical. It's very user-friendly so that you can focus on the things that are important, which are sharing with people, storytelling, getting people to your opt-in. Okay. So again, you can run ads. If you have, a budget to run ads, okay, great. And you know what you're doing, great. Or you're going to hire somebody that you believe knows what they're doing, great. But I'm not a big fan of running ads unless you have, a decent budget. And when I say a decent budget, the reality is you probably got to spend, $1,000 or more a month to get some real data. Because if you're spending anything less than $500 a month, your success is going to be inconsistent. You're not going to get real data until you can spend a little bit more. And you got to do it for at least, 90 days. So if you do $1,000 for month 1, then 2 and 3, you're $3,000 in, and you still may not, have all the information you need and you're out of money. That's why I'm not a big fan of running ads. It can work and it does work. But it only works for people that already know where their audience is or has a good idea. And it's like you're just putting fuel on the fire instead of throwing spaghetti here and there and seeing if it sticks. Okay. All right. So that's why I'm not a big fan of running ads. But don't get me wrong. If you have the budget and you have the extra money and you want to do it, great. I would hire somebody to do it or hire somebody to train you on how to do it. Again, it's not really what I recommend because it's hard to create loyalty with somebody if they're coming in off an ad. Then they're never really getting to engage you, know you, like you, and trust you before they opt in, right? It's a quicker process, which again, it does work. I'm not saying it doesn't, but for most online business owners, I would recommend that unless you have a bigger budget, save that money for other things, right? While you're figuring out and perfecting your audience, where they're at, perfecting your message, all that good stuff. And then once you've got that all figured out, and then you can pour fuel on the fire and run some ads and really increase. Okay. That's when I see value in it. Okay. Again, keeping emails valuable. Okay. What do I mean by that? You do not want to spam. You don't want to be sending out 10 emails a day type of thing, unless that's what you promised them to do. All right. All you want to do is fulfill the promise that you said. So for example, in my title, I talked about how you can build a 6-figure online business with an email list and no ads, right? Well, we're walking through that. How do you do that? We've talked, you create a lead magnet, right? How can you do that? You can, create something that you think is of value, or you can survey your existing email list or email subscribers and see what they'd like, to hear more or get more from you. And then you can create lead magnets to add value to them and get them, moving through your sales process, through your sales funnel, and they're making buying decisions. It's all right if they don't buy. All right. The whole goal is to find out what they like and don't like and get gooder and gooder at it, as I like to say. Yes, you'll hear me almost every time I do one of these lives, I'll talk about being gooder and gooder. Okay. So if that offends you, then please don't ever come back and watch another live again. But, so make sure they're valuable, make sure they're actually what they've opted in for. All right. Don't, offer something, they opt in. All right. They get access to it and the emails start going out. And then maybe you're like, oh, Now I want to show them lip gloss, and they had opted in for, learning something else about online business. Okay. And now you're talking about lip gloss. All right. Unless that lip gloss is something that they can resell and potentially make money off of, you don't mix and match, because all you're going to do is you're going to piss them off. They're going to unsubscribe. Right. Or worse, they're going to report you as spam. And if they report you as spam and you go high enough on those thresholds, you can actually lose your email marketing privilege. Right. So it's really, really important to always deliver what you promised in your emails. All right. And then complementary content, things that are indirectly add value to what they originally opted in for. Okay. Now, this is a big one. This number 9, if you will, on how to build a big list is you need to segment and tag your list. Okay. Now, for some of you, you're going, oh my gosh, how do I do that, Joe? I don't even know what you're talking about. I barely understand. I just started using email marketing or email, to message my family. Okay. I've missed out the last 25 years. I've been in a cave, right? That's all right if that's you. Okay. What segmenting and tagging means is most email services, System.io, this is why I love them. You can hook up your domain and your email, your customized email that you set up through GoDaddy. You can set that up and you can do email marketing directly through their platform. Okay. You can set up your email sequences is what they're called. But in addition to that, you can set up automation rules, or what I talked about earlier, which are tags. And basically somebody gets tagged, and if they have that tag, then they get to go into this email sequence. So think of it this way. So if they like apples, bananas, or oranges, they'll go into, one of those sequences. All right. Now, sometimes apple lovers are also banana lovers. Okay. And sometimes orange lovers are apple lovers. All right. So basically what you can do is, in System.io, it allows you to create tags. It can be very, very simple. Apples, bananas, and oranges, right? For this analogy, okay, for this demonstration. So you have apples, bananas, and oranges. They opt in at apples so they can get more information about apples. So they go to the next email and it has apples. And then it might also offer them an opportunity to go and learn about bananas there. So you can see here the arrow right there, where they went from their email, and they also like bananas, so you can introduce them to bananas as well, right? And they're getting tagged that they're not just apple lovers now, they're also banana lovers. Okay. It's all done through automation. You don't have to worry about it. You set it up one time and it's good to go. And then that way you make sure that you're only delivering the content that they ask to be received. Okay. So for example, if they come in here and they're apple lovers, and this first email was about oranges over here, that would be a problem, right? Well, it's the same concept for segmenting and tagging your list. Break it up, okay? So in the beginning, you may only have a couple different tags, right? Customer, not a customer, okay? And that's fine, all right? But segment the list. The more you segment it and the more highly niched it becomes, then the stronger the list becomes as well. Okay. All right. Now, the last thing and the most important thing, I've talked about this before when I talked about social media marketing, is you have to be consistent and disciplined in your email marketing. What do I mean by that? So whatever you've promised, that's what you need to deliver. And you need to deliver it that same time, same day, every week, so on and so forth. Okay. Because people make time in their schedule, believe it or not, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, they make time for it. And when you're inconsistent or don't respect their time by being inconsistent and undisciplined about delivering the content you promised to bring them, then they will unsubscribe, right, from your list. Okay. Don't do that. You want to be consistent and disciplined. It's very, very important. So, for example, in the beginning, you'll have an email list for people to opt into for the lead magnet, right? And then what you'll also do is, as you find new products or services that complement what they opted in for, or that they've said they want more of, then you can send out a new email sequence for that new product or service, right? Okay. And you know, because you've done the conversions already, that, okay, I have a list of 100. Every time I send out a list, on average, I make $1,000. All right. So each of those emails is worth what? $10. Because I only have a list of 100. I always make $1,000. Each of those email addresses now are worth $10. So technically, every time I send out an email, I will make $10 for that email list. So as that email list grows, and say it becomes 250 strong now, right? And I know each email address is worth $10, then I know that I'll make about $2,500 every time I send out an email, right? This is how you create a six-figure business and build a list big and strong. But it all starts with delivering the promise that you promised at the very beginning, which is give them the product that you said you were going to give them, the lead magnet, over deliver, right? Okay. All right. Under promise, over deliver, always, 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 always. You cannot go wrong with that strategy. If you over promise and under deliver, you're screwed. So in this case, for example, if you're looking to make, 6 figures a year, okay, and you had a list that generated, or your emails were, each email address was worth, the $10 I talked about, okay, and then so every time you send it out, you make $1,000. Well, in order to make 6 figures a year, you need to make, roughly $9,000 to $10,000, right? A month. So that would mean you'd have to send out 9 to 10 emails. Okay. And that's how you build a 6-figure list. That's obviously very simplistic, guys. I understand that. I'm not saying that's exactly the magic wand, you wave this magic wand and all of a sudden you have that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is once you know what the value of each email address is, which means, I've got a list of 100, it generates $1,000 every time. Okay. And I know if my list didn't grow at all, that if I send out 9 to 10 emails, I should make between $9,000 and $10,000, right? 9 to 10 emails a month is very, very doable, right? If you're doing 9, I would recommend you do 3 emails a week, specifically on, a complimentary product or service from the one that they originally opted into. So if they opted in for a lead magnet about apples, all right, then maybe you sell them a recipe and a training video on how they can create apple pie, all right, or apple cider or something along that way, right? Or maybe you create a community, a digital community, a private group, if you will, that people pay $5 a month for, or $1 a month for, or heck, $100 a month for. And in that community is all things apples, right? So we're talking about all the different kinds of apples. We're talking about all the different ways you can make an apple pie, apple fritters. You can, all the different things that you can make, all the different recipes. It's all there. It's a community serving each other apples and apple things to do, right? That is where you're adding value, and that's where you're growing and scaling. So instead of your email list just being people that opted in for that lead magnet, now you've added value to them and you've given them more of what they wanted regarding apples, right? Don't make the mistake of when they say yes to apples that you start talking to them about oranges. I'm not saying you can't offer that down the road. You can, but you first have to deliver the original promise, which is they wanted apples. You're going to give them apples. All right. And as Matt Damon said in one of my favorite all-time movies, Good Will Hunting, how do you like them apples? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. This is how you build a six-figure list. Now, you're probably going, okay, this all sounds great, Joe. Got it. I'm going to have to watch this again, over and over again. Great. Or you can simply go to homebasedblueprint.com, right? Put your email in there. You're going to get a Freedom Formula blueprint. On the next page, you're going to get a thank you page. All right. And they're going to talk to you about the business model, the Freedom Formula blueprint, how you can create all of this very easily without any tech skills, without any following, without any social media experience or email marketing experience or digital marketing experience or any of that, right? You can learn all of this. It can all be mentored. All the people that come in, I mentor. It doesn't matter. Even though all the training is there, I still mentor. I still do calls. I still offer support, right? Because I don't want people to fail. In fact, my whole mission right now is to retire my wife by December 2025. I want to retire her, or get really, if not before, I want to retire by then. Okay. But I also want to help 1,000 other families, retire themselves so they can have the time freedom back, so that they don't have to miss dinners or soccer games or baseball games or recitals, all right, or spelling bees or any of that stuff that you don't ever get a chance to get back, right? Because whether you're making a great living right now or you're not making enough and you need to supplement your income somehow so you can take back time, so you have more time to spend with your family, your friends, your community, doing the things you want to be doing, with whom you want to be doing with, when you want to be doing them, right? All of that. If that's something that you're ready for, right? Then homebasedblueprint.com. Take a snapshot, or you can go in my link in my bio. You can check it out there. The thing I'm going to leave you with right now is we're in the Holy Week. So whether you're a believer, whether you believe in God or not, I apologize to any of you. Hopefully none of you find this offensive, but I am a believer. I am a Christian, and I do believe in God. And I wanted to share because today, my reading for today was about how Jesus came in on Palm Sunday. He came to Jerusalem and he wanted to help, all the Israelites. He wanted to help them. That's all he wanted to do, is just, cradle them like a chick would be cradled by their mother hen, right? He wanted to care for them, lift them up out of all the junk that they were living in right now. It's ironic that today, my whole goal is, yes, I'm doing this for my selfish reason is I want to retire my wife, get her back home so she has her time freedom back so that she can do the things she wants to be doing. But I also want to give this to other families. I want to share it with other families because nobody should have to grind so much and sacrifice their health, their relationships, and their contribution, all to make some pennies. Because if you're not building true wealth, if you're exchanging time for dollars, you're not building wealth. You're not, guys. How do I know? Because I'm that guy. I've been there, okay? My wife and I have done this, okay? When you're making money in exchange for your time, it's there's a lot of places that pay well, don't get me wrong, but there's usually sacrifices that come with it. And at the end of the day, yeah, okay, maybe you have a 401k when you retire. Great. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. Maybe your company matches your 401k investment. That's great. But the reality is you're going to work long and hard for that, and you're dependent upon the stock market doing well, right? Because if you're like my mom, where she was actually a part of the healthcare industry, she was a registered nurse and a case manager for almost 40 years between the two. And when she was diagnosed with cancer, she had $1 million in her 401k. And within less than 90 days of her being diagnosed, the market magically took that $1 million and was cut in half because the market went down. She was at the mercy of the market. Even with it, her accounts, they weren't aggressive at all. It just, the market took a dump. And it just happened to be at the time that she found out she probably was never going to work again. Okay. So she went from $1 million to $500,000. And at the same time, she had to battle cancer. Right. This is mentally exhausting, let alone physically deteriorating, to have to battle cancer, worry about your finances and all that good stuff. Look, you guys, I'm sharing and being vulnerable with you guys because nobody needs to be there. Just like Jesus came to the Israelites and wanted to help them and lift them up, give them something they didn't deserve. He wanted to give God's mercy to them, even though they didn't deserve it. How did they show it? By putting him on the cross and killing him. And all he ever wanted to do was help them. That's where I by no means I don't deserve that mercy. Right? But I'm wholeheartedly going to accept it and be grateful for it. And along the way, I'm going to share as much value as I can with you and with anybody that's willing to allow me to help them get out of the struggle that they're in. Because again, you may even love your job right now. That's fine. Don't quit. But create something that's automated that works for you even while you're working. So when everything is said and done, you actually have something of value that will produce for you, right? People always say, man, I love my job, Joe. I make 90 grand a year, blah, blah, blah. I got full benefits, all that. That's awesome. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Let me tell you let me ask you though something real fast. I noticed you weren't at the soccer game, the soccer match on Saturday. Yeah, we had this big project coming in, this quarterly project that we've got to get done, and I had to work that Saturday. Okay. Well, you only get so many of those Saturdays to watch your kids. You only get so many Saturdays to date your wife or your husband or your significant other, for that matter. I don't care who it is. Okay. You only get so much time. So to give away that time blindly in exchange for, okay, $80,000, $90,000 a year, that's a great living. Don't get me wrong. Right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I'm saying is there's a better way. There's a better way. Homebasedblueprint.com. Real simple. Homebasedblueprint.com. Guys, I've been doing this for 20 years because I saw the writing on the wall. And even then, it's still taking me 20 years. I'm still learning, still growing. You're not going to hit it out of the park right away. But if you follow these steps, you follow a proven blueprint on how to build this list, how to use the list to help both your email subscribers and you grow your business, sky's the limit. Want more training on this? Homebasedblueprint.com. Right? There's 4 options there. I would highly recommend that you stay with the $600 or $900 option. But you know what? Maybe your budget's a little tight right now. Maybe you've got to start with the $100 budget and even make payments on that. That's fine. Start there. Learn it. Get your sales funnel set up. Get your email marketing set up. Start doing some social media marketing, introducing people to it. Build that $100 up so you can upgrade. So then you can get all the other training teaching you how to, not just set up a sales funnel and email marketing and doing some basic, attraction marketing. Now you can actually start building an email list, coming up with other business ideas that complement what you're already doing. So guys, thank you. I've been on for 50 minutes now. So if you've watched any of this, I thank you for your time, because it's the biggest thank you can give me, right? I do love dollars too. Throw them at me. But the reality is, when somebody invests their time in watching something I had to offer, I want to make sure I deliver value, and hopefully I deliver value. If you have more questions, please put them in the comment. If you found value in this, please like and subscribe to whatever channel you're watching this on. All right. Right now, I think it's just Facebook and YouTube. All right. But on occasion, I'll go on TikTok as well. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with people. I greatly appreciate that. And if you're ready, type ready in the comments. I'll get you the link. If you didn't want to snapshot that, homebaseblueprint.com. All right. And let's see if we can start taking back your time. Start building back your time. Right? Instead of having to work, 2,160 hours a year or more to make $80,000, $90,000 a year, let's see if we can figure out a way for you to do that 2 hours a day. Don't believe me? I got testimonials I can show you through the wazoo, and I'm one of them that's working towards that right now. So with that, guys, join me in the journey. Until then, thank you again for your time. I look forward to seeing you at the next live, and I hope you found value in this live on how you can build or use email marketing and build a very strong list. With that, guys, take care. I'll see you at the next live.